Okay, I'd like to call the August 11th Civilian Police Oversight Agency Board meeting to order. And with that, Ms. Barilla, will you call the roll?
Chair French,
Here.
Vice Chair Crawford,
Here.
Member Jackson,
Here.
Member Nixon,
Yeah, here.
Member Rashad, Member Wartell.
Here.
Thank you. Chair French, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And for the record, Member Rashad is excused. He had an out-of-state emergency that he had to attend to. He might be able to get on later. If so, Ms. McDermott, let us know. But right now, for the record, he is excused. And so I would like to acknowledge and all the participants. I have myself, I have Diane McDermott, I have Carlos Pacheco, Member Nixon, Member Jackson, Member Crawford, Kelly Mensa from the CPC, Mark Landabasso, Member Wartell, Pastor Walker, Scott Norris, Ms. Gooch, and our admin, Barilla. With that, did I miss anybody? Whoever is our host, I hope not. With that, we'll move on. We'll move on to item 3. I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the exception, I would like to remove 12C, and that's the policy and procedures, the additional revisions. I did not have a chance to get it to the board members, and there are some of them that I would like to talk to our new executive director about. So I would like a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of 12C.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Ms. Barilla, will you take the roll call?
Member Crawford,
Yes.
Member French,
Yes.
Member Jackson,
Yes.
Member Nixon,
Yes.
Member Wartell.
I just went
Yes.
down the slide.
Thank you. That motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. And with that, on the consent agenda, I am requesting that the consent agenda not be approved as the board did not receive the documents requested. We did receive them last month. We did not receive all the necessary information that we need to see these cases. So I am not going to make a motion I don't want to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda unless the motion is to pull all the cases and put them on the consent agenda for next month. So I guess I'll make that motion. I'll make a motion that all cases on the consent agenda be removed and put on next month's agenda.
Second.
The FEMA lab.
Go ahead.
We have a motion and a second. Ms.
Second.
Barilla? Thank you. Member Nixon made the second. Ms. Barilla, will you take the roll call?
Member Crawford,
Yes.
Member French,
Yes.
Member Jackson,
Yes.
Member Nixon,
Yes.
Member Wartell.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, public comment. I checked my email. There are no public comments sent to the board. And I received an email from Ms. Barilla that there are no public comments received by the agency from either. So we'll move on to agenda number 6, review and approval of the minutes from July 14th meeting. I did review the minutes and they seem to be accurate and in order. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from July 14th.
Plain.
So moved. Second.
Comparable, it's running through a
We
whole.
have a motion and a second. Ms. Barilla, will you take the roll?
Member Crawford,
Yes.
Member French,
Yes.
Member Jackson,
Yes.
Member Nixon,
Look at
Yes.
this very
Member
narrow.
Wartell.
Yes.
These
Thank
look,
you. And that motion passed unanimously.
or this.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll move on to the reports from city departments. We'll start with APD, IA.
Thank you, board members and Ms. Branch. For internal affairs professional standards for the case of the month of July 2022, internal affairs professional standards, we had total internal cases completed this month for 37. 28 cases were completed, which were sent out to the area commands for investigation. IA cases open this month were 30. Area command IA cases open for the month were 22. And we have 52 cases currently pending with 0 cases mediated. And I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, one question I have. When we're talking about IA cases, I know that sometimes depending on what an officer is involved in, that there may be just some protocol. In other words, it's just standard operating procedure to have IA either look in or play part of a process of any incident like a use of force or something like that. Are any of those cases counted in these?
Thank you, Member Nixon and board. So every case that's investigated by our office is generated by internal affairs request. That is required by policy. That be filed for any misconduct, any policy violation at all. And that's included in these numbers from our office.
Understand. Thank you.
Of course, sir.
I have a question. And I don't know if you know the answer, and it's on IA cases. So if an IA case is open because it was referred from a Cpoa agency because it could involve criminal or it was acts, when IA does that case, do they contact the person making the allegations as to the outcome, or that the case has been turned over to them, even though it was filed with the Cpoa? Is there any process in place? And the reason I'm asking is because we had a complaint this month.
Yes, Member French and the board. So I actually spoke to the agency just a couple of days ago about this issue. We are putting a system in place to where we verify that the person who made the complaint is updated on the case status when it's completed, and they receive the same notification they do had it been investigated by the Citizens Police Agency.
Okay, all right. And thank you for that. And I think the agency also should notify them that they've turned the case over to IA, but that's something that I'll address with the new executive director, because I think that would also, the more we can do to help our citizens, the better. So, okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because I don't think that our agency has a process in place, is the information I received. So, okay, we'll address that. I don't even know what your rank is, Mark. Lieutenant, Commander Landawasa?
I'm a lieutenant.
Lieutenant Landawasa. Okay, thank you.
ma'am.
Sure. Are there any other questions from the board? If not, then we'll move on to the IA Force Division.
Sure.
Norris.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Commander Scott Norris. I'm commander of the Internal Affairs Force Division. I'll give you a breakdown of kind of what we had this week between August 5th and now. We had 11 cases that we received of level 2 and level 3 uses of force. 9 of those cases, or 9 cases, were completed this week. We currently have 117 active cases. Our average number of force cases per investigator is about 3.68. And then also our average number of days for completion is 80 days. We have something that we abide by called the process narrative, which we work in concert with the external force investigation team. And all those 9 cases, for the exception of 1, complied with that process narrative. And that's relative to the stipulated order that we are in agreement to with the courts. As far as any updates on what you see on your screen, I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence here. I'm pretty sure everybody here knows how to read, so I'm not going to read that to you. However, I will stand for questions with regard to that.
And so, Scott, I'm not going to read through this, but the do you have numbers on how many of these investigations end up with disciplinary action versus kind of an exoneration of protocol?
Yes, I don't have those numbers right now, but we can definitely provide those to you. We're actually right here, we're providing a data request to the independent monitoring team this week. And that's actually something that they inquire about pretty much every data request that we do have.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Okay.
Compare. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commander Norris. I was looking at the statistics, and our poor little Southeast always remains high, don't they?
Yeah, they always remain high.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right, and so we'll move on to City Council. Chris Sylvan.
Good evening, Chair French, Honorable Board, Chris Sylvan, Albuquerque City Council. The only item I have to report out is at the August 1st City Council meeting, OC-22-6. That's the Civilian Police Oversight Agency Executive Director Annual Performance, and that passed with a receipt be noted based on the fact that there hadn't been an executive director in place during the period for the reporting. And with that, I stand for questions. There doesn't seem to be anything on Monday's agenda that would be super important to this board, but I stand for questions with City Council report.
Are there any questions from the board? I don't see any, and if I can't see you, because I can't always see when you raise your hand, please just let me know you have a question. Okay, Chris, Public Safety Committee. I don't think there's, I think you told me that it was council, but that's your report. Go right ahead.
Yep. That's my report. Chair French, Honorable Board. The public safety meeting that was supposed to happen on Tuesday of this week was canceled at the last minute. I believe that those agenda items, the one agenda item was the 6-month report for the semi-annual report covering July of 2021 to December 2021. That will, don't quote me on this, but probably will be heard at the council meeting in 2 weeks or the next public safety committee meeting. With that, I stand for questions.
Chris, the only question I have is on that public safety, is there like a mailing list, like a newsletter type mailing list or something that you can get on for? I know this, I believe the schedule is on the city website of meetings, but is there also like a kind of a notification / newsletter? You know?
Chair French, Member Nixon, no, not really. It's just posted. The agenda comes out the 72 hours before it's supposed to happen. And, you know, I try my best to make sure that the board and others who are interested in know what's going to happen at that meeting. So I do apologize for the last minute that it was canceled. I mean, it was out of our control, but.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for that. And with that, I would ask that the agency, I thank you, Chris, for letting us know it was canceled, but I also know that some board members do use the calendar. So if possible, with the agency, please post the cancellations also on the calendar so people that know, because I didn't know. So that would help. We knew because I didn't check my email. So thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate that report. And with that, we'll move on to the mayor's office. Pastor Walker.
Good evening, Chair French, and to the board. I don't have anything to report on. You know that the Albuquerque Police Department, as well as the mayor's office, has been engaged in a number of investigations, in which I'm not at liberty to speak on, but I will not only make the report, but I will share with you that the Albuquerque Police Department and the mayor's office are continually doing the very best, working hard and diligently to make a difference in our community to build a better Albuquerque. And so we ask for your support in our efforts to do the things that we can to make Albuquerque a better and a safe place to live. That's my report that I have for tonight.
Thank you, Pastor Crawford. And I think we're all aware because it's been over the news.
Pastor Walker.
I said, thank you, Pastor Walker. And I think it's been
Okay.
on the news also
Yeah.
about quick response that they had in the killings of the Muslims. And I just want to say thanks to the mayor's office and APD, mostly APD, that did all the work and that, you know, found the person so quickly. So that was remarkable. We made national news, but we also made national news when the suspect was found. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. We'll move on to our city attorney, Lauren Keith.
Good evening, board. I'm here in Ms. Keefe's place tonight. She couldn't attend. Not much to report from the city attorney's office. I did want to note that I have been working with Ms. Gooch as far as some training issues, and I think we've gotten those resolved. For a moment there, I thought we were going to have to identify a contractor as far as getting some lesson plans for some of the trainings. It looks like that's been resolved with the monitor. And so that's good. We're also identifying some training or a trainer for one of the required trainings. And so we should have more on that and hopefully have that resolved for the next reporting period. And so I'm very positive on that. It was very productive conversations that we had with Ms. Gooch on those issues. We did have the IMR hearing 2 weeks ago. That went very well, I think. And we are still pending the EFIT status hearing in the next month or so, depending on the court schedule. I stand for questions.
Would you elaborate on what you said about the EFIT?
Oh, yes, the IMR hearing was focused primarily on IMR 15. We didn't really discuss EFIT and the progress of IAFD. We essentially deferred discussion in court in the interest of time for a separate hearing. And so EFIT will be submitting a quarterly report here in the next couple of weeks, I would say. We were reviewing a draft. We've been reviewing a draft, I guess is the best way to put it. And once that draft is submitted and filed to the court as the official filing, the court should be scheduling a hearing to get an update as far as the status of EFIT and IAFD's progress. And I'm pretty happy to say things are looking good on the IAFD's progress with regards to EFIT. It looks like some investigators are ready to graduate out of phase 4. That'll be my teaser for now.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Appreciate that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. We'll move on to CPC, Mr. Mensah.
Thank you, Chair French, and thank you, Honorable Board. We have a couple of new members signed up. We got one in the Valley and we have one in the foothills as well over the past month. We did have one person leave from the Northwest, so we got a +1 this month, and we have a couple of other candidates who are yet to be interviewed, but that's going to be happening soon. I've done 2 marketing events online. One was the Nob Hill Echo meeting with Maria Wolf. We did a 1-hour interview on CPC, and that was well attended by 40 people or so. So that was a good event. We also did the Wings of Life National Podcast at the end of July with Ann Edenfield, and she's got a pretty popular program. So that was a good interview as well. I received a bunch of possible submissions from friends and people that Amir Chapel knows who have been on the other side of the law. So we're trying to beef up that side of our ledger for purposes of diversity. So we have a couple of people who may be interested in joining the CPC as far as that goes. We had 4 councils attend National Night Out events, which was a very good thing. Idalia actually held one at Glenwood Hills for the CPC and did a great job of marketing. We got her a popcorn machine and then the cotton candy machine, and supposedly she got 5 people who were interested in joining the council. Well, we've received 1 application so far. We're hoping for more. We opened a new hybrid meeting location. That's North Domingo Baca Multi-Generational Center up in the over there by Paseo and Carmel. And that was our first meeting we had this week with them. So we were sparsely attended. We're still working. Our meeting on Monday with the Foothills actually attracted 25 people in person, I think. So the hybrid meetings are going pretty well, 25 on person and 21 online. So that was good. We have added new content to the website, a couple of pictures. We're still working on making the website a little more visual friendly. And we're working with the city IT department on that one. We have minimum participation in all 6 councils now. We have 1 council that has 11. We have another one that has 10. We really only have 2 councils we'd like to definitely get the membership up on, and we're working hard on that as it goes. And we do have a couple of other events planned next month for recruiting, one at Domingo Baca and one at a Northwest Homeowners Association meeting. So we have a lot going on, and that's my report. I'll stand for questions.
Are there any questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Mensah. We appreciate that. You do seem to be very busy.
Thank you, Janice. I appreciate it.
Sure. And with that, we'll move on to the APOA. Is anyone here? I didn't see anyone. Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to item 8 on the agenda, request for reconsideration. And I don't see any on here, so I believe there weren't any. Could I get a confirmation from the agency? Were there no requests for reconsideration?
No, Chair French, there were not.
Thank you. Move on to item 9. These are review of the sustained cases. I did read and review all these cases. I don't know if there were any questions, if any of the board members had questions of the agency or the investigator who investigated these cases. But if you do, I will ask for a board approval one at a time. And so if there's any questions, once we get a motion and a second, we can open it up for discussion. So with that, on the sustained cases, case number 03-22, I'll make a motion that the board approve the findings on case 03-22.
Chair French, may I make a quick
Sure.
statement on that? It's actually approving the discipline, not the findings, just as a point of correction.
Well, okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. The findings had the discipline. So approve the discipline on the sustained cases. So I'll go with 03-22. Is there a motion to approve the discipline?
On the subject property. However, we have
So
no
moved.
indication, no record.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Barella, will you call the roll?
Survey.
Member Crawford,
Yes.
Member French,
The actual area is impacted by any
Member
survey.
French,
Yes.
thank you. Member Jackson,
But on page.
Yes.
Member Nixon,
Yes.
Member Wartell,
Yes.
thank you. That motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. On our next case, 05-22, I'll make a motion for approval of the discipline on this case. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, Ms. Barella, will you call the roll?
Oh, sorry about that. Member Crawford,
Yes.
thank you. Member French,
Yes.
Member Jackson,
Yes.
Member Nixon,
Yes.
Member Wartell,
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs.
thank you.
McDowell.
And that motion passed.
Thank you, Ms. Barella, and we'll move on to case number 086-22, and I'll make a motion that the board approve the discipline. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Barella, will you take the roll?
The area.
Member Crawford,
Yes.
member French,
Yes.
member Jackson,
Yes.
member Nixon,
Yes.
member Wartell.
Well,
Yes.
at this time.
Thank you. And that motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. And we'll move on to agenda item number 10, non-concurrent cases. I don't believe that we have any of those. None are listed on the agenda. So we'll move on to item 11 on the agenda, reports from subcommittee, policy and procedure. Member Crawford.
Yeah, give me just a minute as I get the document open. Just share this here, but it's the same thing that was sent out with the packet as well. The policy and procedure subcommittee met recently to discuss those policies that are currently in the 30-day window for comment from the CPOA board. Those are violence intervention program, custom notification deliveries, extreme risk firearm protection order, electronic communications privacy act procedures, forms control, Homeland Security Unit, exposure to blood or bodily fluids, and performance evaluation and management system. These came out of the last two meetings of the PPRB. Most of the changes to these policies are fairly minor. There were no significant questions that came up about them in the committee. And so the committee's recommendation is that we communicate to APD that we do not have recommendations on these policies. I'm just pausing a moment to check and see we do have that later on the agenda. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Member Crawford. Now we'll move on to item 12, discussion, consideration of PPRB policies with no recommendation. You're on again, Member Crawford.
Oh, there we go. I shouldn't have stopped sharing because indeed that agenda item is the very next one. So here is that same set of policies again. I would like to move that we, I think, direct Ali to communicate to APD that the board does not have recommendations on these policies.
Was that a motion? If it was, I'll second it.
Indeed. Yep.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Member Barella, will you take the roll?
Member Crawford,
Yes.
member French,
Yes.
member Jackson,
Yes.
member Nixon,
Yes.
member Wartell.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passed unanimously.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Sure. And we'll move on to item 12B, reformatting, how that is provided to the board. Member Nixon?
Thank you. So I think it was last week or week before last, I was able to meet with, I forgot his name. The officer in charge of data and in charge of the network. I think it was Charmaine. Did I say that right?
Yes,
Thank
Charmaine.
you. Okay, so we were able to confirm some of the simplicities of getting the data that we need on use of force cases to a central repository, or should I say a central directory for us. So in other words, having our own files that are in one place and having them be able to place them there at one time. At this point, my understanding is that they're working on this at that time. So what I suspect is that on the next meeting, I'll be able to basically kind of showcase that and show you where those files and that data in the folder structure that we had talked about creating for the members of the board. Again, the idea is to just make it as simple as it needs to be, as opposed to some of the difficulties, or should I say some of the intricacies that we've seen trying to get to a lot of the files, and that it does include OBRD footage. I see it as kind of a full file that we'll be able to get to, but have those in one central place. That way, you know, when you guys bookmark that or whatever you're going to do, you're always going to the same place to get those particular case files from one meeting to the next. It's not going to change. Nobody's going to have to send you a link or anything. It should be at that same place. Any questions?
Member Nixon, I guess I would like to ask you, and I guess the board members, so do we, because she's going to be downloading them, and I don't know if we decided yes, but I'm asking for your recommendation on this and to get back with her. Do we want her to tell us when she has them all there, or just start putting them in there, and when we get ready for our meeting, we'll know they're all there? Because I can tell her in advance which ones we're going to have.
I think that it would be normal ops and something that's very doable if we just had her say, hey, you know, I've just completed uploading all of your files. Really simple to do. You know, shoot an email to the board, POB, bam, all your files are there, and then we're good to go. But I like the idea of having that centralized location for everyone to look at files.
Okay, so
And the next point, oh, go
will
ahead.
you get back with her and let her know how we want that, and she can
Yeah.
send the email to you and I. That's fine too.
Yep.
And you know, or the POB, since it's just now, that would be fine too.
Right.
Okay.
If they send it to the POB and we discuss that too, then that would be a little bit better.
Okay.
Just because everybody gets it at the same time. And then that way people can look at that when, you know, at their own convenience.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
next step would be, once the new director comes in, to touch base on the complaint files and do the same thing. If we can mimic the same directory system for those complaint files, that would be ideal. Very straightforward. Again, the technology is there. I think that APD does an excellent job of maintaining their data and being able to parse it out as they need to. So I don't see this as being any issue going forward once the new director's in.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Eric. So we'll move on to D because we removed C. Consideration of proposed MOU between the city of Albuquerque and APOA. Ms. Gooch?
Thank you, Chair French and board. So since our last meeting, Member Crawford and I have not met with anyone, but we have been trying to get people's attention. It's my understanding that this issue is in front and center for the Department of Justice, that the monitor has been informed of this issue and its impact on CASA compliance for the board. And at this point, it's my recommendation that the board has exhausted anything that it can do or that I as your counsel can do on this issue. And that the next step is probably to elevate this through a written communication to the Department of Justice and the city, asking for the court to help us. And I want to be clear that Mr. Pacheco and I with the city really are trying to not get to this point. I think the city has given it a really good effort, but we are at a point where the APOA and its negotiations have stalled out in a way that I don't see a better path forward. So what I recommend is that the board consider authorizing Member Crawford as the liaison for this issue, and I to write a letter to the Department of Justice, copying the city, asking that the court address this issue so that the board gets the materials it needs in a timely fashion.
Well, I'll make that motion because Member Crawford has been the liaison for this MOU the entire time he's been on the board. So he has more insight than the rest of us. If there is a meeting, I'd like to be in attendance, but I'll make the motion, Tina, of what you said, that you and Member Crawford draft a letter to who? Who did you say?
The Department of Justice copying the city, asking for it to be filed with the court.
That's my motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Varela, will you take a roll call?
Member Crawford,
Yes.
Member French,
Yes.
Member Jackson,
Yes.
Member Nixon,
Yes.
Member Wartell.
Yes.
Mr. Warchuk?
Thank you. That motion passing.
Thank you. And we'll move on to item E, annual training proposal. And That would be Council Gooch and Member Wharton.
From the protesting person.
Member Wartel, would you like to go or would you like me to
Yes,
start?
I would go
I would like you to, since you transmitted most of it.
like the-
All right. Chair French and board, good update. We are making progress on the trainings that the board needs to comply with the CASA. And today, we have received approval and the okay from the Department of Justice, the city, as well as the monitor team with regard to updated annual training on your ordinance, policies and procedures, and the CASA. I am working with Member Wartel to finalize the proposed training, testing materials that go with those trainings. Once those have been approved, I'm hopeful we can get those scheduled for a live presentation for board members that we then also can record to make it accessible to new members that might be seated soon. The other part of the proposal that Mr. Pacheco alluded to was an idea that we might have had to do lesson plans. I received word from the monitor today that while that's a generally accepted principle, given the trainings that have been put together, it is not a requirement for the board to be in compliance with the trainings. So we are moving along, and I am working closely with Mr. Pacheco and Ms. Keefe regarding the other annual trainings that Member Wartel and I have figured out the city is going to be providing to you. We are hopeful that before the end of this monitor period, those will all be put together and approved by the monitor and ready for you all to be trained on. The only outstanding part of the training that Member Wartel and I are working on directly with APD is updated Fourth Amendment search and seizure training. We're working on that and hope to get that last block of training finalized. So overall, we are making tremendous progress. We are getting all of the pieces of the puzzle put together and hope that by the next monitor period, they are all in place and this is no longer an item anyone has to worry about. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And Member Wartel has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort and energy. I'm sure he may have something he would like to add.
So I would like the board to consider that.
Beautiful presentation.
We truly believe we provided sufficient sales data today.
Thank you.
And a self-comparison approach. And that concludes the assessor side of this presentation. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
We'll move on to our next item. CPOA board subcommittee assignments. That would be me. And I'm sorry, Member Jackson, Member Rayner is not here, but I should have reached out to ask you which committee you would prefer. But these are the ones that I've given you. It can always be changed. If you have a preference, please let me know. So for Member Rayner, I have put him on policy and review and the CRC. Policy and procedure, excuse me. And for Member Jackson, I have put you on community outreach. That seems to be something that you're really good at. And also the CRC personnel.
Right.
All right. Okay, thank you. And if there's an issue with any of those, please let me know. Okay, because they're not set in stone.
Thank you.
Sure. And sorry, everyone. I'm looking for my agenda. Okay, NACO conference. I am sorry, but Miss Segala is not here. So I'm not sure where we stand with this, with the NACO conference. Ms. McDermott, I received an email that you were also working on that. Do you have any update for the board? And let me just say, board members, last year, and I don't know about previous years, but our executive director would put it in his report and he would tell everybody the NACO conference is coming, the NACO conference, which board members, because it has been approved by the DOJ as one of the board's annual training that you can use for annual training. So he would always tell us when it was coming up. Well, we didn't hear about it this time. So when I was researching when the NACO conference is, and it's in September. So you all received the email from me saying who would like to go. And then I contacted Ms. Segala, which said last week, and she said it had to go through budget and she would get back to me once she got the update, the approval from budget. I will say that we do have the money in our travel fund for the board to go to this, to the NACO conference. But, you know, the city is a lot of red tape. And so she said she still had to get the approval. So I'm not sure what the standing is. I know it's coming up in September. But I have no idea where we are, and she is not here to give us.
Chair French, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
I can provide you some information if you'd like.
Okay, sure.
So the NACO conference had been mentioned actually previously, but in terms of the preparations, did actually discuss it with incoming Director Ewing. And so yes, the board members, the staff are approved to go. And so Katrina is in the process of working on getting your profile things that need to happen. For those of you that have gone through it before, that'll go a little faster, but she's working on getting the various travel preparations for the board members and then for the various staff that are going to be attending. So.
Okay, let me ask you again. So you said you talked to Miss Ewing, and she is approving board and staff?
Correct. Correct. I did go with her. I did email her and ask her who all from staff and if she wanted to authorize all board members or some board members. Previously, quite a while ago in the past, not all board members attended. If they wanted to attend, it had to actually be a selection. But she did say, yeah, anybody that wished to go from the board was authorized to go if they wanted to do that. So.
Okay, well, I wish you would have included me on that email, since I'm the one that have been contacting the agency concerning this NACO, so that I could update the board members. I'm sorry, go ahead, Member Wartell.
I have a slight problem here. Why is the agency director approving our travel? She reports to us.
As far as, I don't know.
The city's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say the city still has procurement things they have to follow, and the agency has to go through proper approvals. So it is a matter of that the agency has to get the various approvals through budget.
That's not the way you stated it. The way you stated it was that the executive director approved our travel.
The director has to be responsible for how funds are spent.
Has to be responsible for getting the approvals from lower levels, not approval whether we go.
Good point, Mike.
I'm sorry?
I said, good point.
Yes.
It's very clear in the statute that the director reports to us.
Right.
Thank you.
So
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I would assume that meant that running it up the flagpole or whatever needs to happen would be happening. But as far as an actual approval, yay or nay, that is not something that is held at the director's level for approval. So I'm with you on that, Mike.
It's one thing if the chairman of the board approves it or doesn't. That's just fine with me.
Indeed. I had another question, Patty.
Sure, go ahead.
I have no intention on attending NACO. However, what was really convenient, really good, was that the NACO materials, especially the recorded sessions, was available online. And so it made it very easy to go through several different trainings, even in a day, depending on what the time availability is. And I wanted to know if that would be available for us as well. So it would be not so much traveling to NACO. I think it's in Phoenix or something, Arizona somewhere. Is that correct this year?
I think it's
in Seattle?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Oh, San Antonio. Okay. But
I think that was changed. I think it was Fort Worth. We thought it was San Antonio, didn't we?
Oh, Fort Worth. That's right. I'm sorry, Fort Worth. You're right.
Okay. So I was wondering if somebody could check into that to see if accessibility, if we could, if there's funding for us to get accessibility if we're not traveling, so that we can take advantage of the NACO sessions and training.
Member Nixon, there is a virtual conference available. So if you would prefer to do that, then that would be something that can be arranged. And do keep in mind that the hours that are approved are 4 hours via ordinance, as opposed to previously it was 8. So there will be other parts of your training that will have to happen. But yes, we can register you for the virtual NACOL if you prefer, rather than the travel.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I was just getting ready to speak and say, yes, the virtual is available because I had looked it up. And so you're right, it is available. So I want to go back to what Ms. McDermott had said. And Mike, I appreciate that on the hierarchy. And you're right on the board's travel. We don't have an interim director right now. And I don't know if Ms. Ewing, as she's not yet a city employee, has the authority to approve staff going to the conference, because I'm not sure about that. What Ms. McDermott said is she approved that. I'm going to have to look into that to see if she has the authority to do that, because she is not yet a city employee. I think until the 20th. But as the chair, I will look into that myself. But that's just something that I was surprised on.
Is there a deadline looming, Patty, for registration?
I did look on the website. I didn't see one. I called and left a message because it was so late, for me contacting you guys or finding out about this, but I haven't received a call back. It goes to a Google number, and Member Crawford can tell me what that means, but it says, this is a Google number. And so I haven't received a call back, but I will double check on that too, because if there's a deadline, we definitely don't want to miss that. Okay. Sorry, so NACOL conference. Okay, so now we're up to our updates on our information. I think I just gave one of our updates of the NACOL conference. I wanted you guys to know about that and us to get updates on that. The other update I have is that I would ask that when the agency sends the draft minutes to the web, that they also send it to the Pprb website so that we all can have it. I think it's per Robert's rules, the minutes has to go in 10 days after within 10 days after the meeting. And then the board, we get the draft agenda 10 days before our next meeting. So I would like the board to receive it, the copy, when they are posted to the web. Also for our presenters on our new policy and procedure, and I will be forwarding that to the agency for posting. But on our new policy and procedure, we changed the agenda. And the reason I changed the agenda is because I want to make sure we have a quorum, and I want to take care of board business first. So we will be taking care of board business first, and then we will do your presentations, because that's our priority, is to take care of these cases, review, and take care of board business. And then we'll do the presentations. And hopefully our meetings haven't been lasting as long as they did in the past. So it's not like you'll have to stay on till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So I just wanted to advise you of that the presentations will be at the end. The other update is, I don't know if you all saw it, but I had sent an email to the agency because there's an internal address list, internal contact list, and it has our home address on there. And I have informed the agency that I don't believe it's necessary, and I don't want our home addresses on the internal contact list. That's my personal preference. I don't know why it's there. I was given, as always, what happened in the past. I'm going forward. I don't look at yesterday. I look at today and tomorrow. So with that, I do want the addresses removed. If any board member would like their home address to continue on the internal contact list, please let me know, and we will certainly leave it on there. I see no reason for it to be on there, so I want those removed. And that's my request per the board, unless a board member wants to leave it there.
I agree.
Okay.
Ms. Barella has her hand up.
I can't see it, Ms. Perella, thank you.
Yes, Chair French. If I could just go back to the agency draft minutes that you want sent to the POB, does the link suffice for the copy that you will be requesting when I upload them to the website?
Yes,
The link suffice? Okay, just for clarification. Thank you very much.
yes,
Patty,
because that's what
go
you
ahead.
said now is the link, so that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Patty, I
Remember-
think it suffices to have our addresses on file because we have applications when we apply to be members of the board, and then that's it. I don't think it needs to be on any list or anything like that. As long as the agency has access to the address to utilize it, that's fine. Other than that, I don't think it's necessary. I just don't want it out there.
I don't either. They say it's internal only, but there's no
Yeah, that
reason.
doesn't mean anything to me. I don't, even internal, I don't think it's necessary. Like I said, they have it on file.
So Ms. Varela, please make sure that's in the minutes that the board requests. I'm not going to make a motion because I don't think it's necessary. The board requests that you remove personal home addresses from the internal contact list. And so make sure that, thank you for, and put that in the minutes. There's another issue that I was going to give an update on, but I think I'll wait until the new director starts. It was the issue of board equipment and when it's being issued to our new board members. And this isn't the first time we've had an issue with it. I think member Gion said she had to wait 2 months before she got her equipment. Member Jackson had to wait, and then I received an email saying that they have to complete certain training, and they told me what training it is. I've looked all over for that policy or procedure. I've looked everywhere where it would be in writing, and I can't find it. So I don't believe that it's a policy or procedure. I don't believe that it's a requirement. Until I see it in black and white saying that this is a procedure, I will address that with the new director on the board getting their equipment in a timely fashion so that they can be ready to vote at the meeting when necessary. Another update that I had is we are going to have a special meeting for the OIS and serious use of force cases, officer involved shooting. I did talk to, I don't know if it's Sergeant Charmaine, but I did talk to her today. And us getting our information in one location was simple as a request being made. Just that simple, and Eric can attest to that. She just said, I inherited it this way. I've never had the request to change it, and I can change it. So as soon as she gets those cases ready for us, I will be asking the agency to get with GovTV and find out when they have days available, because we have to have closed caption and that sort of thing. Well, we don't have to for special board meetings, but I prefer it that we have closed caption. And so we will get some dates from them, and I will be contacting the board members, letting you know of the dates available, and get that to you so we can have that special meeting and we can get this backlog caught up on our serious use of force cases, because we will have the necessary information that we need. We won't require 3 screens. It won't be required going from here to there. It was just it wasn't end user friendly at all. And so since Eric has taken care of that, thank you, Eric, very much. I will be sending out an email to you and on the dates available. So just want to let you know. And last but not least, I would like to welcome Member Jackson. This is the first meeting he's been in attendance where he is a voting member. So we just want to welcome you, Member Jackson, to your first voting meeting.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we'll move on to agenda item number 13, old business.
I just had one thing on old business.
Yeah, yes, sure.
Yes,
Member.
Member Raynard was able to send me the draft of the job description. And so I put some inputs on that and sent that back. I think I sent it to the board, but I did send that back for him just with my inputs on it. So just want to let you know.
I did see that, Member Nixon, and I think it's a great job, but I think there's a couple of things that looking at the ordinance, looking at the policy and procedures that we might want to add?
I agree. I didn't think it was complete, but I added those at that first shot at it. And yeah, I think there's some ordinance stuff that has made some changes and adjustments that would need to be in there, especially around training.
Okay, thank you very much. Also,
Chair French,
yes.
excuse
Member Ward-
me, I need permission to leave this meeting.
Okay, thank
If
you.
you would, please.
Yes, absolutely. We have nothing to vote on, so
Thank you.
sure. Bye-bye. This, you know, I remember Wartel and I had met with several city councilors and they were all in agreement to take that community policing, what is it, Citizen Police Academy out of the ordinance. And recently I received an email that it may be pushed down the road. And so unfortunately, we'll have to think of something else. I just want to tell you, new members, I've already told you, it's 12 weeks, it's 2 days a week. It takes a big chunk out of your schedule, especially like, remember Wartel travels a lot, remember Jackson travels a lot, remember Crawford, I think you took some of it, but you weren't be able to attend all of it. Member Rayner already told me he has 3 sons and that that would be very hard for him to schedule. It's Tuesday and Thursdays from 6 to 9. You know, it's on Thursday when we have our board meetings. So when I was attending on some of those days, on our regular board meetings, several times I wasn't able to attend. It halts the board in many, many ways. I don't agree with it. You know, but it's in the ordinance. So, you know, also it's going to have a definite impact on members of the board because several members have told me they just can't do it. And so we will look at other ways. I will be talking to Councilor Gooch on what we can do and how we can do it, because I don't think it makes you a better board member. It's very informative. I enjoyed it, but does it have any impact on your duties as a board member? Absolutely not. None whatsoever. It's not necessary. It's not needed. And so I will be talking to the counselor because I definitely don't want to lose any board members because city council is delaying removing that from the ordinance. So, you know, I think you've already taken it, Member Nixon, correct?
Yeah, after going through it, and you're right, it's absolutely informative. I don't think it's necessary. And the last thing as an independent community member that I would want to have happen is it be somehow some sort of citizen indoctrination, civilian indoctrination into, you know, policing. I don't think it's necessary. I think that everybody's bringing something unique to this board, and it has nothing to do with having to assimilate to some sort of a training that is going to somehow qualify you to do this work. I think that one of the strongest this is probably one of the strongest boards we've had. And I think that the reason it is because we're coming from different walks of life and we're bringing different perspectives to the board. And I think that the Civilian Police Academy is a great notch. It's great and everything, but for it to be necessary is absolutely unacceptable, in my opinion. After going through it, please keep in mind, I completed it. So I'm not going through this blind. I just don't see what the value added in say Greg coming on board or Jesse coming on board or Mike coming on board and then them having to go to CPA. There's no value added in my opinion. However, having it available, you know, if you so want to do it is one thing, but having it mandatory, nah, I think it's a waste of time.
And like I said, it's very informative. I enjoyed it, you know, I got to see a lot of old friends or whatever, but did it make me a better board member? Absolutely not. Did it impact my decisions or my reviews? Absolutely not. So
that's the point. It's useless to that, in my opinion. What we bring to the table, it does not enhance it in any way, shape, or form. My thoughts are the same from before I went into CPA and after the CPA, nothing has changed. So individuals that don't want to take it or don't want to go through it, I'm totally okay with that. That does not that doesn't skew the qualification at all.
And my biggest concern, because I've already taken it, my biggest concern is losing board members behind something that has no impact on making you a better board member or educating you on how to be a board member. So that's my big concern with that. So I'll be talking to our counselor about that. And I think that was under old business. So we'll move on to item 14, new business. Is there any new business from any board member? If not, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second. Or so moved, sorry.
I'll second.
There you go, Member Jackson, in the
Thank you.
minute, he seconded it. So we have a motion and a second. Member Barella, will you take the roll?
Member Crawford,
Yes.
member French,
Yes.
member Jackson,
Yes.
member Nixon.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passed unanimously. It's 6:05, meeting's adjourned.
Wow, that's a record breaker.
I'm pretty sure that's a record.
I think it is. Have a good night, everyone.
All
Take
right.
care. Thanks, Valerie.
You're welcome.